the March 25th recruiting weekend is shaping up to be one of the biggest weekends that we've ever seen in recruiting at Nebraska.
Jeez, really?
The volume of 4-star players coming into Lincoln is unlike we've ever seen. When you just kind of break down this list of names coming in, we've confirmed 19 different recruits from the class of 2024 coming into Lincoln, headlined by Dylan Raiola, Williams Nwarni from Kansas City. You got Ryan Wingo. So the top player from Kansas City, the top player from St. Louis, Ryan Wingo, will be here. Nigel Smith, one of the top players in Texas, will be here. Carter Nelson, the top player in Nebraska. Andrew Sprague, the other top player in Kansas City, a top 100 offensive lineman. You'll have Gatlin Bear, the top player in Idaho, that's going to be here.
6'2".
So you go down this list of people that are going to make their way in. Davon Hall, Roger Ground, who's committed in Nebraska. Grant Bricks, who's arguably the number 1 player in Iowa. It is loaded. I mean, this is going to be a enormous weekend, and more and more names. Sprague was confirmed this week. Davon Hall was confirmed this week. So they continue to fill this weekend up, Sip.
I love it. I love to see those receivers 6'2", 6'2", 6'4".
Caleb Benning.
Yeah. And I love to see him going into St. Louis and targeting a 6'4", 200+ pound receiver. And you can talk all day long about Dylan Raiola. That's a fascinating conversation and fairly complex. But yeah, that'll be a gigantic weekend for HuskerOnline for sure.
Well, and then you talk about Dylan Raiola. He visited USC a week ago, so his RPM on 3 is now favoring USC heavily. In fact, a lot of the projections, whether they're on our network or 24/7 or other places, are leaning Raiola to USC. But as we know, this thing is far from over.
It's so far from over. And why do you say that?
Because there's more visits. He's going to Georgia March 18th. So next weekend. Then he'll be at Nebraska March 25th. He's made that will be a 6th trip to Nebraska.
And he's not visiting Oregon until late April. Right?
Yeah, and his visit to Oregon right now is set up for, let's see,
April 24th, April 25th.
April 29th.
Oh, okay, April 29th.
So Nebraska's spring game is the 22nd. The next weekend is the 29th. That's really the last weekend of spring games in college football. He will visit Oregon at the tail end of spring ball for the whole country. And if he makes that visit, we know that Dylan Raiola's recruitment is going to go into May.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a really fascinating story. There's 2 things that really got my attention. Chad Simmons of On3 talks to Dylan, and that article that came out recently, there's 2 main things that really got my attention. One, saying he definitely wants to visit Oregon. That visit's going to happen. Okay. I mean, some people would say, oh, will he really go that far into this? I think he will. He said he definitely wants to visit Oregon. And a lot of people had opened their eyes. And if you're a Nebraska fan, I think it was sort of frustrating that he talks to Lincoln Riley every day. A lot of people saw that and thought, oh God.
That was a pretty big piece of information though.
It was. I mean, he was quoted as saying, and I read it and thought, oh God, that seemed it. And now maybe Dylan didn't, maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe it doesn't mean as much to Dylan as it does to onlookers like us, but yeah, definitely got a lot of people's attention. Nebraska's in this though. There's no doubt about it. Nebraska is right in the hunt. And that's what his dad has kind of said to me. His dad, obviously, I mean, come on, his dad loves Nebraska, and his dad has said things like, at least we, meaning Nebraska, is in the hunt. Right. We're in the hunt. We're in the conversation. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
Right?
And one of the latest RPMs, Justin Hopkins, who's the Oregon expert for On3, he's got a 75% confidence right now for Dylan Raiola to USC.
Okay.
So that really skewed up that number to put him to USC. Nebraska had and Georgia had been kind of out in front, but this latest visit changed things. And there was a camp of people in the media that really thought that Raiola could be like a silent to Nebraska. And I know you never really bought into that.
I didn't understand it.
Because, I mean, you have direct access to Dom.
Yeah, unless Dom was just steering me wrong. I just never understood how that could be.
He is in communication with Nebraska recruiting targets. I think that's what's really confusing. Like, he talks to Isaiah McMorris, Carter Nelson,
Mhm.
you name it, like all these recruits. He's visiting with a lot of them around the country, but doesn't necessarily mean any of those guys are going to Nebraska. None of them are committed to Nebraska yet.
Right. Yeah, it's very interesting.
There's a lot
situation.
there. It's going to be fun to follow, no doubt. All right.
Yeah, my advice to people is don't try to read a 17-year-old's mind. I mean, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just keeping an open mind on it.